Hello, you beautiful beings of light, my courageous family and friends, on this challenging and at times lots of fun walk upon the planet. I want to welcome you back or welcome you too if you're a first-time viewer to my channel. My name is Claudia, and I will just start with what I have in mind for today. I woke up feeling a little bit nostalgic. My son recently had his birthday. He happens to be a Valentine's baby, and I was thinking about how profound that is. Love, love, love. Valentine's is the time when we celebrate love, and loving yourself is as big of a thing as you could ever imagine. It's probably the most important and significant. So I'm going to share a little story with you. It's actually a big story because it was monumental, has been, and will continue to be far beyond after my death. And it has to do with the fact that I became a mother, not knowing what that really meant or what that means to anyone, really. It's not something that I exactly thought I was born into. It's something that, comes without a manual. And we've been talking a lot about that. But somehow or other, innate wisdom, intelligence, creativity come into play when you start anything new, whether it's a new job, buying a car for the first time, falling in love for the first time, meeting somebody that you feel connected to and you don't know why. Anyhow, I'm going to share my story. It was, and the fact that for me, it starts with mothers have a way of knowing about what's about to happen. And I think it's an innate wisdom that's born within. It's kind of like birds, land animals, sea creatures always have a way of responding to nature, storms that are coming, a fire that's impending, and any kind of danger. They seem to know to stop, sense it, and then to either move out of the way or go back to what they were doing. We just know. So on this particular day, it was a particularly quiet day for me. Although I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what I was thinking about it. I just, in retrospect, I knew. And so I began cleaning our little apartment from top to bottom. It was an older, place, and so it required some spick and span. And I just moved from room to room cleaning things, and I didn't really know it at the time, but I just spent the day doing that. And in the evening, when my husband came home from work, he said, our friends are going out for dinner. Why don't we go? And I said, that'd be great. And I was feeling fine. So just kind of a sense of expectation. And I want you to notice the words, sense of expectation, and not really knowing what I'm feeling, but feeling something. And so those are really important words that I want to imprint on you and on your mind. So I realize now that what I was doing was in anticipation and preparation for the impending birth. So the friends that we went out with were a group that just knew how to laugh and enjoy each other. I did have some Mexican dinner, And I had a couple of swallows of beer, which is not my favorite beverage. I've never learned to enjoy that. But I had a couple of swallows, and of course they tell you don't drink when you're pregnant, but I always thought that anything, whether it was a swallow of wine or a swallow of beer, was not going to do harm. In fact, I felt in this case it was probably a good thing. So around 9, I began feeling queasy, something I wasn't sure of, and by 9:30 I had a suspicion that I was having contractions, that's what was going on. So I suggested to my husband that we go home, and we were home by 10, and by 10:10 we were beginning to monitor how far apart the contractions were, and they were 20 minutes apart. I didn't know how far apart they needed to be for me to call, but I called the hospital, and I first had a sense that I could wait a little longer. By 11, the contractions were about 10 to 12 minutes apart. I was uncomfortable but not miserable, but I felt like probably we needed to head in the direction of the hospital, which was 20 miles away. So we hopped in the car and drove down the road. I had a little Volkswagen convertible, which I just loved. I'm short, 5'4", and my husband was 6'1", and so here he is, knees up against the steering wheel, trying to get us down the road, and he was going 30 miles an hour down the freeway, and I was hanging on to the side, not usually anxious, and thinking it'd be a good idea if you went just a little bit faster. But in retrospect, there was some ice on the road, snow was piled up to the sides, the freeway or highway had been scraped, and so that was okay. We got to, and I will tell you, we didn't leave until, what time? About 11:30, because I did not want to get to the hospital before midnight. It seemed a waste of money to me at the time to get there before midnight, because a new day began at 12:01. So anyhow, I'm not going to say cruising down the road, is probably putzing. And we got to the hospital, got checked in, they checked contractions, and you can call it settled into a bed, but I wasn't comfortable. I just was uncomfortable and beginning to have sharper pains. So after the nurses checked where I was, and I was in a room right outside the nurses' station, I could hear her pick up the phone and call the doctor and saying, she's barely at 2 centimeters. And a moment later, I heard her say, well, I'll call you in the morning, then we'll monitor and let you know. And the cradle of the phone hanging up, and I thought, well, I've got a long night ahead, apparently. Well, they keep you comfortable. You don't get to eat or drink anything, naturally. My husband was with me, although he was, I'm not going to call him worthless, because he tried to support me the best he could, but it was just not I don't want to diss him. He's a lovely man. Anyhow, I was pretty much on my own, we'll put it that way. So a couple of hours go by, and the nurse comes in and checks again. So now it's around 2 a.m. And I heard her go back, and the phone, her calling the doctor, her saying, she's progressing pretty fast. She's at 6. And she hung up the phone, and by now I am using what's known as Lamaze breathing with the contractions to try and ease that pain. It's a funny thing, because after the fact you realize that there was probably way more pain than you think that there was, but the memory of the pain goes away. at some point, and so I just remember there was pain and discomfort, so I'm using those almost interchangeably, but at this point it was pretty rapid and intense contractions. Well, the doctor came in, and I could hear him at the nurse's station 2:45 or so. And at 3, a little before 3, he popped his head in, ready to go, got himself prepared. About 3:10, he said to me, he said, "Now I don't want you to push," as he prepared to do an episiotomy. And he turned away to get whatever it was he was doing, and he turned back and he said, I thought I told you not to push." And I remember saying to him, I didn't. But apparently the baby had decided that he wasn't staying in there any longer, and he was out. And the next thing I know, there was a flurry of activity, and within moments then the crying of a baby. So, you know, within a few minutes, they deliver into your arms this little, well, he was 6 pounds, 13 ounces, so he was a nice, healthy size. But this, and I call him my bouncing baby boy, even in his 40s now, he has to tolerate his mom saying that. But, you know, you unwrap him and count the fingers and toes despite everything that, you know, they tell you everything is fine, in order to reassure yourself, but your heart, with this little bundle. The moment they put this little bundle of human in your arms, and it's warm and it's snuggly and it's gurgling and cooing, and I went more deeply in love than I ever thought could be possible with a human being. Since then, I know for sure that this is absolutely a transformative moment in my life. And so I'll read you, I'll read you my notes on what I said when I wrote down about this. Son, from the moment you were placed into my arms, I was more deeply in love than only a parent will ever know. Miracles. It's a miracle. Babies are miracles designed to remind us that love is what we are made of. Love is what we're designed to be as long as there is breath within us. From crawling to walking to climbing some mighty big mountains, you're emerging now as an adult. He's emerging into his possibilities in wondrous ways. And dear family of light, this applies to you. You've set a solid foundation for yourself and your footings, solid foundation and footings built out of the attributes you value most. Your God-given gifts are many, some of which have yet to be revealed and yet others to be discovered. But I can tell you this, I am proud of you. Not only my son, the family that he is building for himself, and I am now a grandmother as of 8, almost 9 months ago now. But I can tell you that I'm proud of you, the intelligent, compassionate, giving, collaborative, and kind man that he has become. The loving, joyful, and thoughtful husband that you are, and the devoted, playful, creative father that you are. You are and always have been meant to be a leader, and your profession will thrive under your care and leadership. Many young people will come to learn, to find and utilize their gifts under your mentorship. Dear family of light and my friends and family, I want you to know that I am now and will always be profoundly grateful that you chose me to be your mom as your parents this life. You chose me and your dad as your parents for this life. Kind of crazy, huh? It's the greatest honor and blessing to know that in this life of building a new world, taking us from chaos into peace, truth, trust, abundance, freedom, that you have chosen the most challenging time to be on this earth and in the universe. Amongst other attributes, dear ones, all of you, you are here to take us into the return to knowing who you are, who we are, and a return to being a loving humanity. Your life is proof of the foundation already firmly affixed. I love you with all of my heart, now and into infinity. I feel like I'm your mom in some respects, and I want to thank you for being here with me at this time. I want to thank you for realizing that you are remembering the loving, joyful being that you were meant to be. That's your only job at this time, is to remember and then to be that. Be that with all that you've got. And if I can help in any way, that's why I'm here. So be sure and thank you, first of all. Be sure and leave comments, put the thumbs up, hit subscribe, share with your family and friends, and I will see you next time. Bye.